Welcome to the Global Gurus podcast. I'm Rhett Power. Laura Gassner Otting is with me today. How you doing, Laura? You doing good?
I'm doing great this morning. Excited to be here with our guest and with you.
Well, and we've got Dr. David Burkus, so stay tuned because he is going to blow us away as usual, I think. I'm setting up a high bar there, David. Sorry.
He is the smartest, the funniest.
Hang on, let me stretch.
Get ready. Right.
He'll cure all your ills.
Double tie those shoes. This is the Global Gurus podcast. This is 15 minutes, 3 questions. And then the 3 questions are, what's the biggest problem you see in the world right now? What's the original methodology you've built to solve it? And how are you applying it to create measurable results in the real world? Let's jump right into it. David, now you are a global guru. I think you're probably number 1 or on the top, management thinkers in the world.
I like to think I make number 1 possible by being number 1.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But you are a professor at Columbia University and a best-selling author, one of the top speakers in the world too. Let's get into, what do you see as the biggest problem right now?
When I look across, whether it's in business where I do most of my work or whether it's society or government, et cetera, I think probably the biggest problem in the world right now is we have a complete lack of trust. Trust in our interpersonal relationships, trust in our institutions, trust in our society. And my work at least focuses in on that trust in the one-to-one relationship. I have no idea how to rebuild trust in our giant institutions, but I think we could start one-to-one between a leader and his or her team, one-to-one between 2 coworkers, one-to-one between 2 friends. And if we can build up trust a little bit more, I think we could get a whole lot more done towards solving all of those other problems that people who are yelling at me because I picked trust and there's bigger problems in the world are currently yelling at me on the podcast for. I think if we could solve that one, we can solve the other ones.
Okay, so what is the unique IP that you bring to help us solve that trust, at least on this one-to-one level?
Yeah. So a couple years ago, I was really diving deep into this. And I think, first of all, when I use trust here, there's 2 different types of trust. There's what we would call cognitive trust or cognition-based trust, and then affective trust. Cognition-based trust is I trust you because you deliver consistent results. I know you're always like LGO. I know you're always great on stage. Rhett, I know your LinkedIn posts are going to be brilliant, right? So you've built up over time, and I trust that. It's the affective trust. I trust you enough that I can be vulnerable. I can take a risk. I can bounce a crazy idea off you and not just be completely discredited. It's the affective trust a lot of times that I think we're missing. People aren't willing to take interpersonal risks around each other. When you dive into a lot of that research, you end up inevitably running into like Amy Edmondson's research on psychological safety and a number of other things that candidly get a little confusing. So a while back, I tried to sort of sketch out, what do we actually need to know to solve this? And I kind of created this, it's this most simple framework I ever did. It's a circle. I literally call it the trust loop. And I think it speaks to the biggest misconception about building trust, which is that most people think it's trust falls or let's go do team building activities, right? Let's all go use planks to cross the imaginary river or take a personality test, et cetera. And the truth is, that's not how any of it works. Whether it's psychologically, neuroscience-wise, that's not how any of it works. The trust loop is pretty simple. You go and trust someone first, right? I have to extend that I trust in you first. That gives someone what they feel they need to be vulnerable. That's the next step in the loop. If they're willing to take a leap of faith, share a crazy idea, admit a failure, come to you with a question that they don't know the answer to, as small as that initial vulnerability is, they're willing to do that. And then, and this is the thing I think most leaders miss, then I have to model respect that you took that leap. Doesn't mean I have to agree with you when you share your crazy idea. Doesn't mean I have to give you the advice you want to hear instead of the advice you need to hear, but I have to make you feel heard first. I have to make you feel that it was worth taking that leap. And so the trust loop is that simple circle. You start by going first and extending trust to somebody else. That gives them what they need to feel like they can take a leap of faith in you. And then you model respect to them. And as a result, their trust in you grows. And it becomes a virtuous cycle Or unfortunately, it can be a vicious cycle if it breaks down. And the place it breaks down most often, especially with the leaders that I work with and try and solve this problem for, is the respect piece. That so often we say, I've got an open door policy, you can say anything. And then we shoot the messenger when it's bad news. Then we defend ourselves way too harsh when somebody criticizes our idea. Then we capitalize on somebody's failure. We do the things that model disrespect. And as a result, people don't trust us to take the leap any further. So I've been working with a number of different leaders and interpersonally with different teams to kind of apply this trust loop framework. And the thing that I keep seeing is most people miss the respect piece, the holding space for somebody to feel heard and respected, and that their leap of faith in you was worth it. And if we can change that and get people to actually hold that respect piece, then we can increase the levels of trust on teams, between leaders, maybe even those larger problems that we need trust to solve.
Let me ask you, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, I was actually just curious why you think it is that leaders miss that respect piece. Do you think it's because they haven't had it role model? Do you think that they're just under external pressure to just get results, and they figure if somebody's not doing it well enough, they can move on to somebody else? Like maybe they think AI is going to solve it faster. Why do you think the respect piece is the piece that, even knowing they need to do it, they miss it?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, AI does an amazing job respecting every leap I take in it. Every time I type anything into any chat AI, it tells me I'm brilliant.
That's the right call. Good idea. What a great spot. Yeah.
Definitely not AI. No, Christine Porath is a researcher who's probably the world's most respected expert on respect and disrespect in the workplace. And she's surveyed tens of thousands of people. And the number one thing that people point to when they're on the receiving end of a disrespectful behavior in the workplace, the number one reason they say for it is a lack of positive role modeling at the top. In other words, like monkey see, monkey do, right? We don't see how we're supposed to respond. And so we respond and we model whatever behavior we observe, right? Our Rhett and Laura and myself, our mutual friend, Alan Mullally, is a great example of this, transforming the culture of the senior leadership team by just showing them this is how you respect people when they ask for help or when they disagree with things. And he basically needed to go into Ford and turn the whole company around. But in order to do that, he had to turn around the respect piece of the trust. So I think it's really just a lack of modeling. And I get it, right? Because if you think about leaders, like leaders got to the top by being smart, by being brilliant, by being just a tinge narcissistic, right? They got there by showcasing everything that they know. And so somebody speaks up with a different idea, somebody challenges your idea, et cetera. That can feel like internal criticism. If you've gotten to where you are in your entire career based on your smarts, and now somebody's questioning that, it can feel like they're questioning your whole identity. So I get it, like it's hard, but as our all other mutual friend Marshall Goldsmith would say, what got you here won't get you there. And when you get into those top roles, you need to flip and recognize that what your people need from you is to be free to challenge your ideas, to bring you the bad news, and feel respected and appreciated for doing that.
Yeah, let me ask you this. I hear what you're saying, and I 100% agree.
He respects you.
I respect you. I respect you very much. How do you repair trust as a leader? How do you address, maybe I've done something that has made my team lose trust in me, right? And I realize that. I begin to understand that because of what's happening or the way I can see how people feel. How do I repair that? How do I repair that trust?
Well, I can tell you that I think there's a pretty consistent 3 steps to do it, and a lot of people miss the second step, right? So the first one is what you've already said. You recognize you did it. Candidly, there's a lot of mistrust in the workplace because leaders don't even acknowledge that they screwed up. So you start that, like you own it, right? And then a lot of people jump right from own it to here's what I'm going to do differently, which is well-intentioned. And I don't mean to disagree with any of that. But the crucial step in the middle is you own it and you go to the people whose trust you lost, right? Who you disrespected or whatever you did. You go to them and you ask them how you should behave in the future. Right? You co-create what that new, here's what I'm going to do differently is. And this is important for 2 reasons, right? The first is they should, in that moment, you're starting the trust loop again. You're showing trust in them, right? Because you're saying, I need your help on this, right? I messed this up. Help me fix it. You're modeling vulnerability. You're starting that level of trust. Number 2, they now know clearly what they can hold you accountable to because we co-created that solution, that new behavior. The next time we're in this situation, Here's how we're going to act. They had a part in that. So they're going to do a better job holding you to it. If all you ever do is say, hey, I'm owning up to my mistake and here's what I'm going to do differently. First of all, that's better than a lot of people who never own up to the mistake and never actually change. Right. But if you really want to take this seriously, in between those two steps, co-create a solution, seek feedback on what you want, what they want to see differently, and come up with a mutual new solution, a better future, so that they felt like they had a part in it and they'll hold you accountable to it in the future.
I love that holding accountable piece to it. I mean, I think that's like that's so great. That's so good. That is so good. Sorry.
But what if what they tell you don't want to do? So when I ran my executive search firm, I would have people come to me and say, "Oh, well, I couldn't get this thing done because little Johnny had an ear infection, and so I was busy with him." And I'd just be like, "All right, well, I'm just going to take you off the search and I'll put somebody else on it because the search has got to get done." If I went back to them, they'd be like, "Well, what I really needed was your grace to give me 3 to 5 days to be home with my kid." Like, fine, I want to be a supportive parent, but also I have a client who needs the thing to be done. So like, what if when you ask them, they tell you and then you can't do it? Doesn't that break trust down even more? Like, what do we do as leaders in that moment?
Yeah. So here's the key. And this I learned straight from Marshall Goldsmith, right? Is first of all, you're asking a lot of people, not just one person.
Global gurus, people.
We smart here. So you're asking a lot of different people. When they're giving you that feed forward, right? You simply in the moment say thank you, and you'll do the best you can, right? Because that's true. Then when you've collected all of it, you go back to the team and you go, here's what I heard. Here's what I think I can take action on. Here's what I can't take action on and why. So you're going to hear that, right? Like you're going to hear that, oh, but what I needed is trust and support. And it's like, I understand that. However, there are times where we have to continue to make progress and I'm going to have to take you off. Like you've earned the opportunity to say, here's why I can apply some of your feedback and not others. That still counts as co-creation, right? In co-creation means that you still get a say. You're not just giving your say to your people on how you want to act in the future, right? But you at least heard them, and then you go back and you go, okay, here's what I heard, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do, and why. And then we move forward on something that everybody should agree with. If they still don't, like I get it. Sometimes, as you know, Laura, sometimes it might just not be a fit between you and I, right? Or something like that. But the 95% of people, 96, because 4% of people are sociopaths statistically, 96% of people are going to find that to be the right way forward in reestablishing trust, because I was heard, I was listened to. You may not have applied everything I said, but I had a say in it, and therefore I'm in it.
So it sounds like openness, transparency, and probably from the leader's point of view, over communication. Right? Like more than you're used to having to explain yourself, but explaining the holistic situation is important.
Yes. Yeah. But I think, the interesting thing about over communication is that if you over communicate early with a team, you don't have to communicate as much later on, right? Because the other thing we're doing in that moment when we're having that type of a conversation is I'm teaching my team how I think, which means in the future, I don't necessarily have to over communicate. They know. Right? They can sort of anticipate it. And I think that's beyond just this question of trust. I think that's probably one of the things leaders don't take enough time to do is teach their people. This is how I think, right? It's sort of like LGO, your proper care and feeding of LGO that you use for your team. You're teaching them not just your preferences.
I have a 10-page how to manage your LGO document that I share with anybody who comes work for me. And at one point, my husband of almost 30 years was like, "How come I didn't get one of those documents?"
Right. But you're not just displaying
a user guide, right? I love it.
You're not just displaying preferences in that moment. You're teaching your team how you think. You're teaching your team how you make decisions. This is why this is this way. And so if you over communicate early, you can under communicate later and your team still feels like they're in the loop because they've learned how you think.
Well, that's very interesting because there's actually a line in the How to Manage Your LGO document that says that you will get texts and email responses from me, which might feel curt at the time. Please know I'm not upset with you. If I am upset, I will let you know. Sometimes I'm just replying in the middle of doing 17 different things. So I sort of set it up and I'm like, and if you ever have any questions, ask me. Because I kind of feel like almost as a leader, sometimes it's your job to protect your people from yourself and your worst you're the devil on one shoulder, because you can't, the angel on the other one isn't always coming out of your mouth. Sometimes it's the devil. And sometimes I feel like it's interesting that you say that, because I used to think if I over communicate early, I'm setting an expectation that I will over communicate all the time, which is exhausting. So I love this flipping it on its head, that if you do it early, it actually gives them,
gives you some grace.
It gives you some grace. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a difference too between over communicating the rationale for your decisions and making all of the decisions in the future and micromanaging, right? And so what we're talking about here is, yes, and when I'm leading this project, bringing in a new team, et cetera, I'm going to over communicate. I'm going to handle a lot of different decisions with the end goal of you all taking the reins on it. So yeah.
Well, David, how can people see your work? I know you do this work inside companies. Please share with people how they can find you and
hire you.
And hire you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky in that I'm a very, very unique name, right? Burkus, Burkus. There's not a lot of us on the internet. I've only ever found two, and the other is a 24-year-old Hungarian filmmaker. So if you type that into Google, you're probably going to find me, or you're going to find some of his films. And if you can understand the language, they're fascinating, right? So that's probably the easiest on your socials of choice, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok. We're on TikTok. We don't dance. Any of those, or straight on the website. I'd love to keep this conversation going. I'm not naive. I don't think this 15 minutes solved the trust issue for the entirety of society. So this is a conversation that probably needs to keep going. And so I'm pretty easy to find if you want to keep that conversation going.
Well, before we leave, I do want to give a shout out to your YouTube channel, because I know that you spent a lot of time creating these incredible YouTube explainer videos around all of the pieces of trust and how we can work together to create better teams. I know I love your book, The Best Team Ever, but I would encourage people to check out your YouTube channel, because they are smart, they are funny, they are great storytelling, and I've learned a lot, frankly, about how to manage my teams, and frankly, that husband that I mentioned earlier, and my kids. It's just really great on every possible level. And by the way, don't worry, he manages me too. It's a very good co-creation that we have going. But do check out David's YouTube channel as well.
Oh, thanks so much.
All right. Well, you have sat through, or is that proper English?
Endured
another 15 minutes with Laura and I here on the Global Gurus podcast. 3 questions, 1 methodology, real results. And that's what we do here at the Global Gurus podcast. We'll see you next time. Thanks, David.
Thanks so much for having me.